Good morning, everybody. Pastor Rick here, Broadman Baptist Church. What a beautiful day we've got. Cold day, but the fall is finally here, or the fall weather is finally here. And I want to talk to you today about living carefully. This is the Broadman word for November 5th, 2021. And of course, it's perspectives from the devotional Radical Wisdom that I've been going through this year. People want to just get stuff done. Don't necessarily want to think about it. We tend to know what we're doing, what we think we need to be doing, what needs to be done. We don't really have time or patience to get involved in a lot of considerations or how it might make others feel, what our actions are, and what we might be saying, how it sounds to people, or sometimes even we get caught up in so much of the busyness and so much of the immediacy of any given day that we might not even think about the repercussions that might be down the road for something that we say or do. It's kind of a ready, fire, aim situation instead of the other way around. So we live in a just do it time, and a lot of us get caught up in that just do it sort of mindset. And to some extent, there is some effectiveness to be had there, the willingness to just get up and do things. But jumping in and doing and saying what we feel is easy and it's quick, but it's not necessarily right. It's not necessarily reconciling, and it's not necessarily advancing or honoring the name of God. Being careful with people, being careful with our money, being careful with our decisions, with what we say it, how we look, what we do. It makes life a lot more complex, but when you think about it, it could probably make your walk a lot more effective if you try to be careful. So why should we be careful? Well, there's 4 reasons really. Careful will slow us down. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Thinking about the consequences of what you're doing and what you're saying is going to take more time than just doing or saying. Also, careful forces you to involve others. It goes beyond yourself. And so once someone tells you what they think, because you've involved them, there's an obligation there now to take into account what they've said or how they feel about a situation, or maybe even to do what they've said they think needs to be done, in essence following somebody else's advice. That is more complex and it takes more time, but it's certainly something that we should consider incorporating into our ministries. Careful requires us to think longer term. Slowing down to be careful takes us beyond just the immediacy, the calendar requirement, the pressure of the moment. It takes us beyond right now, and it asks you to think about the consequences or the ramifications of what you might do. You have to look down the road a little bit and take that into consideration. Also, it requires us to consider longer term consequences, and certainly careful requires a lot more effort. And number 4, careful requires humility. Your personal feelings about the situation and about yourself in general might say, okay, I've seen this, I know what to do, I've got this, right? Careful, however, says, whoa, slow down a little bit. Maybe you should ask around. Maybe you should gather some input. Maybe you should be collaborative or cooperative. And it forces us to realize that maybe we don't know everything about everything. Even in a situation that might seem familiar, gathering insight and advice from others is most definitely a thing of careful. So think about the arguments maybe that you could have avoided with others if you'd been more careful, or had a little bit more introspect about things. Think about your personal financial situation and the status that you might be in if you had been just a little more careful about investing, about spending, about saving, and about giving. And then think about the people in your life that you might still be very close to if you or maybe both parties had exercised a little bit more careful, been more careful to forgive, more careful to reach out, more careful to express gratitude, more careful to show each other who you really are and not hide behind facades of defensiveness. Careful is a combination of slowing down, involving others, thinking longer term, and being humble. It requires humility. And so the question then is, will you take the time to live a little more carefully and as a result increase the effectiveness of your walk, increase your personal joy and the effect that you have on others, reconcile more folks to the cross, and be a better ambassador of the gospel? That's between you and God, but I would encourage you to take some time and contemplate your level of careful. Listen, I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.